Okay, well, that nearly gave me cardiac arrest. The Eagles defeat the Washington football team 20-16. We moved to 9-7 on the season. We clinch a winning season for the first time since 2019. And this game, if I could compare this game to an earlier game this season, it was just like that Carolina Panthers game, and that both of these were just like heart stoppers, like just really up and down games. Like, oh my God, this game yesterday was tight. Early returns weren't promising. Taylor Heineke came out in this game and was just slogging it all over us. He was looking fantastic. He's airing it out to Cameron Sims, the receiver. He's airing it out to John Bates, that tight end, the rookie tight end. And there was one play on third down where it looked like Derek Barnett was about to sack him. It looked like Derek Barnett was going to sack Heineke. And then he floats it to Ricky Seals-Jones, who later left this game with a neck injury after a collision with the cameraman. Hope he's feeling better. And I'm saying, early in this game, I'm saying, wow, I didn't know that Joe Montana came out of retirement to play for Washington. I'm thinking, here we go again. Here we go again, making quarterbacks look like Hall of Famers. I'm roasting Jonathan Gannon. I'm very frustrated early in this game because Heineke is just getting all these easy passes off of us. He was like, early in this game, Taylor Heineke was like 11 for 11. 11 for 11, like 11 for 12, 12 for 13. He was crazy efficient in the first half of this game. It was very frustrating. It was so frustrating, man. So Patterson, the running back, he scored a touchdown to put Washington up 7-0. They drew first blood. And then Nick Sirianni goes for a boneheaded play, a very boneheaded play on fourth down. He goes for it. I think we were around the 20-yard line instead of kicking the field goal. And I'm thinking, Nick, don't do this again. Don't do this again. Take the points. It gave me flashbacks earlier this season. We lost to the San Francisco 49ers. In that game, Nick Sirianni on fourth down in the red zone, he went for this Philly special type reverse play, and it failed. And then there was another fourth down in that game near the red zone that we also failed to convert. So I'm thinking, oh my God, Nick, here you go again, shaving points. Just kick the field goal. It's too early. It's too early to be going for it on fourth down. So we don't get it on fourth down. We tried running the ball, and then Washington gets the ball back. Here goes Heineke again, airing it out on us, airing it out. But then the defense holds. And then we're at a 10-3 game because they kick a field goal. And I will say this, the defense, even though they were so just horrible in the first half, the defense was terrible in the first half, they really clamped it down in the second half. I don't think Washington scored a single point in the second half because it was 16-7. I believe that was the halftime score, 16-7. They didn't score the rest of the game. And you really got to credit this defense. Avonte Maddox was all over the place yesterday. He got called for a terrible pass interference when he was covering Terry McLaurin. I didn't like that call. But then there were some few other plays. So he gets a third down stop where he stops Terry McLaurin from converting on third down. And then Washington goes for it on fourth down. Washington went for it on fourth down. And then the receiver, I can't remember who Heineke threw to, he dropped it in part to some good coverage by Avonte Maddox. So he gets a huge fourth down stop. And I'm like, wow, look at Avonte Maddox. Look at Avonte Maddox. Ah! And then Josh Sweat too. Josh Sweat had 2 sacks in this game. One of them was on third down. I think both of them were on third down. Josh Sweat, he was been kind of quiet these last few weeks, but he erupted yesterday. He erupted against Washington yesterday. Jernard Avery had a sack on third down as well. And Avery is interesting. So early in this game, in the first half, Heineke, while he's scrambling, he throws an awful pass. He should have never threw that pass. It gets intercepted by Jernard Avery, but then the Eagles get penalized for illegal contact by Avery. So Heineke got bailed out on that terrible throw, and then we lose an interception. It's like, so the Eagles this year, they've lost a lot of touchdowns due to penalties, and now here we are losing interceptions due to penalties. Last week, Darius Slay, he dropped an easy interception against the Giants. And then yesterday, we just lose an interception because of a penalty. It's like we were not getting a lot of breaks in this first half. We were not getting a lot of breaks. And then right before halftime, right? So The score is 13-7, 13-7, and then the Washington kicker, he's trying to kick a field goal. He misses it the first try, but the Eagles called a timeout. We iced them. So he gets another crack at it, and it goes through. It goes through to give Washington a 16-7 lead. I'm like, we iced the kicker, and then he misses it, but because we iced him, he gets another crack at it, and he sends it through. I'm like, what rotten luck? What rotten luck? But let's talk about Jalen Hurts now. Jalen Hurts, I thought this was the best game of Jalen Hurts' career. I've raved about his performance in the second half against the Los Angeles Chargers. I raved about his performance against the Denver Broncos in the first half. I thought he was really good against Washington the first time. But this guy, he was amazing yesterday. This was a game where we weren't really leaning on the run. Like Boston Scott, actually, we'll talk about Boston Scott a little later. But this was a game where the Eagles, they weren't really powering through Washington on their run game. This was a game where Jalen Hurts was beating Washington with his arm. He was making big throws. He wasn't doing just short throws like intermediate stuff. He was really spreading the ball down the field. There was a play, well, this was with his legs. So on a 3rd and 8 play, Jalen Hurts, he runs for like a 20-yard gain. He gets like 20 yards on a 3rd down. And then there's another play. This was probably the play that really impressed me, the play of the game, I think. So, actually, maybe not play of the game. Well, there's a certain other play. So, Jalen Hurts on 3rd and 14, he scrambles away from the pass rush to his right, and then he throws a beautiful pass. And then Greg Ward makes an amazing catch. An amazing catch. And now, it was just, this game, Jalen Hurts was crazy efficient. He was 17 of 26. I think he had like 260-something yards. He was efficient. Jalen Hurts was really good yesterday. I really thought this was the best game of his career. He had a really good game earlier this year against Washington. That one was a little shakier. It was a little shakier, but this game, he was really good. Jalen Hurts really impressed me yesterday. It's really refreshing that we recovered for the fourth week in a row. Well, the third week. For the 3rd week in a row, the Eagles started out very slowly in this game. Started out very slowly. We were down 10-0 to the Washington football team again. Down 10-0 to Washington again. The last time we played them at the Link, that last game in Philadelphia, we fell behind 10-0 in that game too. So both of these games against Washington, critical, like reflective of these last 3 weeks, we started very slowly. The offense really, they started kind of slowly. And let's talk about Boston Scott. So Boston Scott was amazing as well. Boston Scott was phenomenal. All right, so I mentioned the earlier 4th down play where we failed. There was another 4th down play. This was right near the red zone. And to be honest, I wasn't really feeling going for it on 4th down because I'm thinking, okay, it's already a 10-0 game. I don't think you should shave points again. I'd rather just take the field goal. But Nick Sirianni goes for it. I'm like, okay. So then Boston Scott powers him for a touchdown. I'm like, all right, cool. So we got a 10-7 game now. And then, like, after that play I mentioned on 3rd and 14 where Hurts scrambled and he threw to Greg Ward, then it gets to 4th down again. 4th down again right near the red zone, right near the goal line. And then I'm thinking this time, I'm like, yeah, you got to go for it. You got to go for it on 4th down this time. So this play, Jalen Hurts trips, and I get terrified. I'm like, oh my God, he tripped. But then it was a pitch. He pitches it to Boston Scott, and Boston Scott goes flying into the end zone. He flew into the end zone like he was Brian Westbrook. 2 touchdowns by Boston Scott in this game. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And this isn't the first time we've seen this. We've seen Boston Scott ball out when the playoffs are on the line. 2019 against the Giants, the final game of 2019, when we went to MetLife Stadium to play the Giants. 3 touchdowns in that game. Boston Scott is a stud. Boston Scott is a stud, man. He is a stud. And then there was Dallas Goedert, too. He had an amazing game against Washington a few weeks ago. We hit him on a nice 3rd down early in the game. And then there was another play where he catches it right near the sideline and he kind of stumbles backwards, but mostly keeps his balance. Goddard, he continues to show that he is a top 5 tight end in the league. He does have some ball security problems. He does have to work on his hands, although I didn't see any drops yesterday, so that's good. The last 2 games against Washington and the Giants, he dropped passes in both of those games. To my recollection yesterday, he didn't drop any passes, so that's really good. And Devonte Smith, of course, he had a few big plays. Smith had like maybe like he finished with like 50 something yards. But anyway, I'm gonna go back to the defense for a little bit. I'm just really satisfied that this defense really improved in the second half. We've seen it over the past few weeks against Washington the first time and the Giants, but this game was terrifying because I said in a preview, if you fall behind, you might not be able to recover this time because you're playing against a better Washington quarterback. You weren't playing against Garrett Gilbert again in this game. This was Taylor Heinicke. And Taylor Heinicke, he was probably the most formidable quarterback that we've played since Justin Herbert. The Eagles, these past few weeks, we haven't been playing the best quarterbacks. We had Zach Wilson, Daniel Jones, Garrett Gilbert, Jake Fromm, and then Mike Glennon, Mike the Long Neck Glennon. Like these quarterbacks, these past few weeks, they haven't been that great. But Heinicke really scared me because he's a scrambling quarterback. He did scramble for a few big plays. So it was really terrifying to me to see us go down 10-0 because it really concerned me, like, how are we going to respond with more efficient quarterback play on the other side? So the defense, they clamped down in the second half. Jayvon Hargrave hit Wendell Smallwood so hard. He hit him so hard that the numbers just flew off his helmet. They flew off his helmet. He clocked Wendell Smallwood, the former Eagle, by the way. He was the Eagles running back in 2018. And then there was a play, 2 plays. It was second and third down. It was Jayvon Hargrave and Josh Sweat. They had back-to-back deflections. They had back-to-back batted down passes. Like the defense in the second half, we were actually getting pressure. We were getting pressure on Heinicke. Heinicke was really kind of feeling the heat. He was really feeling the heat in the pocket. So I'll give credit to Jonathan Gannon for blitzing more in the second half. I give credit for him adjusting at halftime. I really wish that we would adjust sooner in these games. Like, let's get it going in the first half for a change. But I'm glad that the defense clamped down in the second half. And the final moments of this game, all right, so the Eagles, we were down 16-7. Then we get the touchdown by Boston Scott. We get another touchdown by Boston Scott. And then eventually, so Jake Elliott, he kicks a few field goals. He gives us a 17-14 lead. And then he kicks another field goal. He kicks another field goal to give us a 20-16 lead. Excuse me. So it went from, he gives us a 17-16 lead, and then he gives us a 20-16 lead. But so we were leading 20-16 with 2 minutes left in the game. And Heinicke, he gets comfortable again. He gets really comfortable again, like he was at the beginning of the game. He's just airing it out. He hits Antonio Bates on like a 3rd and 10. And then he hits Sim on a 3rd and 1. He's just slinging the ball down the field. He hits Bates on the 3rd and 10. He gets Sims. He hits Patterson, the running back, up the middle. And then the time is just slowly ticking away. It's like at this point, it's under a minute to play. And it was scary. It was really, I was nervous in these last few minutes. I was nervous in the closing moments of that game yesterday. Washington was just marching down the field. Heinicke was just slinging it. And he converted 2 third downs. He's just slinging it to guys effortlessly. Bates, Sims, Patterson, the running back. It's just no matter what the Eagles were doing, that ball just kept getting closer and closer to the end zone. It was scary. It was scary just watching Washington just march down the field, watching Heinicke just throw that ball, just getting closer and closer to the end zone. It was scary. It was scary. And then the play of the game, with 29 seconds left in the game, Heinicke, he throws the pass. It was an overthrow. It looked like the Washington receiver tripped. And then Rodney McLeod makes a superhuman dive for the game-saving interception. Eagles win 20-16. It felt so good. This win, because I mentioned this before, Washington swept us last year. We blew a 17-0 lead to them in week 1. We were down 17-14 against them in week 17. We benched Jalen Hurts in a game that was very winnable. Washington didn't look that great. They won that game. We gave them the division. They won the division on our turf at Lincoln Financial Field. They swept us. Washington fans, I had to deal with a lot of Washington fans talking all kinds of garbage. And then we go to their turf and we eliminate them from the playoffs this year. We swept Washington. Now we're the ones with the broomstick. We're the sweepers this year. I'm telling you, man, Washington, I really don't like Washington. I don't like them. I mean, I might dislike Washington more than the Giants. I can't stand the Giants fans more than Washington fans, but as for the teams, Washington, they really irk me. Ooh, I just don't like that team. And I hate those freaking, I just feel really good that we swept those burgundy bums. I hate their freaking stadium. FedEx Field is a dump. FedEx Field sucks. And speaking of FedEx Field, so Jalen Hurts is walking off the field and he's heading towards like the exit. And then the fans, they're all waving to him and giving him like a standing ovation. And then the railing collapses and nearly falls on Jalen Hurts. And then all the fans fall. And now Jalen Hurts, to the classy guy he is, he helps these fans up. And then he smiles with them, takes pictures, I believe. But Washington Stadium, they tried to kill Jalen Hurts. Washington Stadium is a dump, man. First they got freaking sewage pipes bursting and leaking all over people, and then they got railings collapsing. Dude, they might get some lawsuits for that. Washington, they might be in some trouble, man. Video cut off before. But yeah, man, FedEx Field is a dump, as I was saying. The Eagles are 9-7, and of course, we got the help we needed later on. The 49ers, they beat the Texans, and then the Vikings got shellacked by the Green Bay Packers. Admittedly, they didn't have Kirk Cousins, but let's be honest, the Vikings were going to lose that game anyway. Because first of all, they beat the Packers earlier this season in Minnesota. They weren't going to sweep Green Bay. They were not going to beat Green Bay in Green Bay. They were not going to beat the Packers at Lambeau Field as Aaron Rodgers is looking for that number 1 seed. It wasn't going to happen. Kirk Cousins or not. The Eagles are in the playoffs. Just remember that. 2-5. We were 2-5. Our worst start since 1999. The debut year, the rookie season of Donovan McNabb, Andy Reid's first season. We were 2-5 after getting smoked by the Las Vegas Raiders. And we made it back. We clawed our way to 9-7. Nick Sirianni gave that very bizarre flower speech, which I wasn't a fan of. And guess what? We go 7-2 after that. So Nick Sirianni, he knew what he was talking about all along. All the haters, man. All the freaking haters. They had us winning 3-4 games, guys. 3-4 games. This team wasn't supposed to be anywhere near the playoffs. This team wasn't even supposed to be competing for the playoffs this late in the season. We should have been, according to all these NFL analysts and experts, we should have been out of the running around week 7. Maybe even earlier than that. We should have been out of the running then, but this team, they clawed back. They fought through adversity. This was more impressive than the 2019 Eagles. That team started 5-7. We lost the embarrassing game to the Miami Dolphins, and then we went 4-0, ran the table against the NFC East to finish 9-7, won the division. But this was more impressive than that, honestly, because you had a first-year coach, you had a quarterback in his first year as a starter. It was just so much adversity we saw this year, and we overcame it. We made the playoffs. You guys should be proud of this Eagles team. Eagles fans should be proud of our birds, man. So we got a game against the Cowboys next week. It's meaningless, but I want us to win that game because the Cowboys destroyed us on Monday Night Football. They humiliated us on primetime television for everybody to see, and I'd rather not have them come into our stadium, Lincoln Financial Field, and sweep us. So I would play the starters next week against the Cowboys. I might be in the minority there, but I would play the starters because I really want us to get better at competing in the first half of these games. I don't want us to lose any momentum, and I want to beat Dallas. I'm not sure if Dallas is going to be playing starters. They lost to the Cardinals yesterday. They messed up their seeding, so they could try to rise to the 3rd seed. I think they're the 4th seed right now. So we'll see what happens, but I would play the starters next week against the Cowboys. That's just me personally. We'll see what Nick Sirianni does, but talk to you guys later.
Go Birds!